Hello and welcome, dear friends, once again to our discussion on genetics. We come to the last unit of your curriculum where we will be dealing with some of the applications of molecular biology or the molecular biology techniques based upon whatever you have studied till now, considering those as the basics. Now we will venture into an area of recombinant DNA technology, popularly known as genetic engineering, which is also a applied aspect of biotechnology. Before going to this, I would like to throw some light on the basics of genetics. Means how did we reach to this stage of almost like acting God? We can manipulate the genes, we can create organisms of our desired traits, animals, plants, etc. So for that, all these things come under the broad umbrella of gene cloning. Now, when this curriculum was designed, I was a bit wondering why gene cloning to begin with. Means why not talk about basic of genetic engineering, or why not to start with biotechnology? Why gene cloning suddenly a topic, gene cloning, and to then to start the remaining aspects? This is a very wise decision for the curriculum setters to take and start with gene cloning at BSc third year level, because whatever we have studied till now, that is the structure of DNA, the central dogma of life structure, DNA replication, transcription, translation, all these things culminate to one central point called as genetic engineering. Now, if you see here genetics, the field of genetics, it is a core of multidisciplinary aspects, perspectives to study and to apply for. Human genetics, plant genetics, microbial genetics, epigenetics, biochemical genetics, metagenomics, physiological genetics, molecular genetics, cytogenetics. Now we have crossed the era of classical genetics. Mendelian genetics, the principles, the foundations laid down are a rock solid. And on that basis, we have moved so ahead that we are now in the era of genomic maps, gene maps, and molecular biology techniques. So, with respect to this, we will start with the molecular biology techniques and start to explore what gene cloning is all about. So, if you see the timeline of milestones achieved right from the 40s, era of the 40s, when Abraham McLeod and McCarthy or Griffith's experiment, when they were mostly dealing with the debate between whether protein is a genetic material or DNA is the genetic material. From that time onwards till date, till now, the way we have cloned, really cloned a complete animal. This is a long journey. But interestingly, if you see the day from the day DNA was discovered, means there is something in the cell which is called as the genetic material. And when it was discovered that DNA is the genetic material, from there onwards to the first successful gene therapy, it's a long journey. Or right from the day when double structure, helical structure of the DNA was discovered by Watson and Crick, 1953. For us to understand what this DNA is, 1940s, DNA was discovered. DNA, there is something which is acidic in nature inside the cell, and that is the genetic material of a cell. No structure, nothing. Paradoxically, ironically, if you think in the time of history, Mendel died without knowing the structure of DNA. It was in 1953, 50s. Watson and Crick, they came up with the beautiful covalently closed helical super wound structure of DNA, that too totally different in eukaryotes and totally different in prokaryotes. My point here is it takes 100 years for us to understand the structure of DNA, and from 1950s to, you can see, 1994, or let us say 1990, the gene therapy is successful. Means within a span of 30 to 50 years, 40 50 years, we now have a human genomic map ready. So that is how we are advancing with time. As time advances, the advancements in genetics is becoming faster and faster. The main credit for this goes to development in instruments. Huge beautiful instruments have been discovered by which we can peek into each and everything. Means it could be spectrophotometric techniques, it can be x-ray crystallographic techniques, microscopic techniques. These have provided us a different window to the world. So in this, somewhere there is gene cloning to start with. Where does that begin? It begins with understanding the domains of life and what is a genome in this domain of life. We know there are three cell types: eukaryotes, prokaryotes, and archaea. What is the similarity in this all life forms? It is that all have DNA as the genetic material, all have a membrane bound, that is a DNA which is present inside the cell. They all have ribosomes, which is very vital for protein synthesis, remember thing. And proteins are the key molecules for metabolism. They have similar basic metabolism because of the universality of the genetic code, as the genetic code is universal across these domains of life. Means if there is one codon, that will code for that same amino acid for all these domains of life. So they have similar basic metabolism, and paradoxically, interestingly, they are all diverse in their systems, they are diverse in their life forms. So when it comes to the core, that is the DNA, that is called as the genome. So what is a genome? Genome is in entirety, in toto, the genetic makeup of the organism or genetic material of the organism. It is in toto an organism's hereditary material which encompasses its metabolic, physiological and genetical information. It is encoded, that is all this information is encoded in what we call it as DNA, or in some viruses it could be RNA. This genome includes both genes of the coding and the non-coding region. So what is this coding and non-coding region? As we have come through evolution, these genes have stabilized in different cellular forms, in different capacities, in different quantities, in different concentrations, in different capacities of expression. So that is what we call it as the molecular biology of life. What is the basic components, what are the basic components which are involved in this molecular biology? Obviously DNA, RNA and proteins. These are the components which involve combinedly, collectively in a function called as molecular biology, or a study called as molecular biology. So what is molecular biology? It is a study of the molecular underpinnings, means the components of the process of replication, transcription, translation and the genetic material. So if you see these molecules, whatever the biomolecules are there, DNA, RNA, carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, all these molecules, they club up to form cells. In the evolution, they have clubbed up to form cells. If this cell singly functions as an animal, then that is a microorganism, that is a bacteria. One single celled organism, that is a bacteria. But if it segregates or it aggregates to form a tissue, then an organ organizes itself into form an organism or animal, then animals. If it is autotrophic, means capable of photosynthesis, then they are called as plants. Then all these, when they are living on the surface of the earth for their lifetime, they merge into a system called as populations. The study of these molecules, cells, animals, plants, microorganisms and their population encompasses the molecular biology aspects, and there are n number of areas to study. Like for example, animal development, plant development and its defense systems, microbial pathogenicity, which is of key interest to the survival of a healthy survival of human beings. Then enzymes, cell cycles, membrane trafficking, mathematical biology with respect to population. But the most important is, as you can see, genomics. What is genomics? What are genomics? What is a genomic study? We will see that. But the basic players in molecular biology, as I said, DNA, RNA, and protein, they follow a central dogma, and that is DNA when it replicates, it forms DNA. RNA when it transcribes, it forms a DNA. When it transcribes, it forms a RNA. RNA when it translates, it forms a protein. This is the central dogma of protein synthesis. Today we are going to revisit this central dogma in a modern perspective. Through a modern eye, we will see these processes, and we will now from here onwards think about DNA as the genome of life, which goes across the boundaries of eukaryotes, prokaryotes, as well as the archaea. Now, when it comes to molecular biology techniques or the genetic engineering techniques, this gene or a DNA, it dissolves all these boundaries, and it can cross the boundaries to form a newer molecule, which is called as a chimera or a genetically modified cell. So we will redefine this central dogma. We will call this DNA as a genome, RNA as a transcriptome, and this protein as a proteome. So the study omes. What are these omes? Omes and their omics. Ome is a complete set of that particular thing which we are studying. Genes, a complete set of genes which does not have the boundaries of eukaryotes, prokaryotes, and archaea. Dissolving all this, we take a set of gene and we try to create newer designer cells. That is genomics, or genome is genes. Transcriptome, mRNA, which is used to measure the state of a cell in the terms of gene expression. Transcriptome. Proteome, proteins. Interactome, the molecular interactions between these domains of life. All these domains of life are interconnected, because if you see the tree of life, each has a branching which is having a common ancestor. Somewhere each and every, or of course over the millennia, it took hundreds and thousands and millions of years for us to evolve. But over the millennia, the common ancestor exists. And these molecular interactions among these domains of life, they still are functional. To explore these interactions, to create newer interactions, is what genomics is all about. So through high output methods or throughput methods, that is input and output, and you just mix and match and create newer molecules which will benefit the mankind. That is what biotechnology is all about. So experiments are performed on many different molecules, genes, proteins, etc., in a partially automated way in the laboratory, in vitro, and this makes the omics possible. From omes to omics, and we will be mostly interested in genomics. Genomics is the study where we deal with the interaction of or creation of genes by intermixing various genes, various sequences. A huge variety of enzymes are needed, a huge variety of instruments are needed, and it becomes a very interesting field to explore, because we are creating newer molecules. We'll go to that. So what actually is this gene modification, or what actually is this genomics? What is this genetic modification? Why there is a need for genome analysis? When you try to predict the behavior of a gene in an uncharacterized genomic sequence, means you create newer gene sequences and you try to predict how it will behave, how it will transcribe and translate. You create newer sequences, you obtain complete sequences of as many as genomes as possible, and then genetic modifications are created to create new varieties, like let us say brinjal is there, cotton is there, flavor saver tomato is there. These are all the applications which we will see in our future lectures. But why to study genomics? Why genome analysis is needed? This table here gives you a very good idea of why genomic analysis is necessary, and how the domains of life, they are having a complexity in the sense the varying size of genome but still having a common function. If you see the humans, you see if you see size in base pairs, the genome 3.2 billion, there are 25,000 genes, But most important thing is the average gene density per number of bases. Means for how many bases there is one gene present in that whole genome. So for humans, if you see, for around 1 lakh bases there is one gene. We have one set of chromosomes. 46 is the number of chromosomes. As compared to that, you can see, pause the slide here and see other, but I will directly compare it with E. coli, which is our model organism for all the genetic experiments which we will be discussing from here onwards. So humans, they have one gene per 1 lakh bases, whereas Escherichia coli have one gene for 1400 bases. Means you see the compactness of the genome, genes within genes, overlapping genes, no unwanted or junk sequences in Escherichia coli, because that is a single celled organism which has chosen to remain primitive throughout the time. Whereas humans, with the most of the eukaryotic systems, as you go towards the larger genomic size, they are increasing in their functionalities, they are increasing in their evolution capacities, they are constantly under modification. So the gene density, the gene function also varies. To understand all these things, we need to study genomics. And where does this cloning fit in genomics? That is my point of the lecture today. We will see what basically cloning is and what genomics has to do with this. So what is cloning? Cloning, by definition, it is a Greek word. Klon, K-L-O-N, is a twig, a small twig. What is a twig? It is a small part of a large component. If you talk about a twig, a small branch, it comes not even from the branch, it cannot be called even a branch. Branch is a larger fragment as compared to twig. A small fraction of the whole tree is a twig. So that is in Greek called as klon, K-L-O-N, klon. And just like this, if you see the cell, a complete cell, for this example, it could be a human cell, a plant cell, or animal cell. This cell contains chromosome, that is DNA, and from that a small twig, a small gene is taken, gene for some growth hormone, let us say. It is cut by specific enzymes. All this study is a part of gene cloning methodology. A small part is cut, this is the DNA, and then from a bacteria, you see this DNA, now come back to the first figure here, from a bacteria, a cell host, some bacterial chromosome, it can be a whole chromosome, it can be a plasmid, is taken, and this gene is inserted into this chromosome, that is the plasmid maybe. So what you have is a bacterial DNA with a human DNA inserted inside this. For the sake of example, take this, if this is an insulin gene. From the human cell, an insulin gene is taken, this is called as the gene of interest, that is inserted into the host chromosome, that is a bacterial chromosome. Still, this is not cloning, this is a part of cloning. So what happens when you insert it and then seal it? You reinsert it into a new host, that is a bacteria, and here it will grow into multiple copies. This Escherichia coli, once it grows into number of colonies, number of cells, the human gene inside it will prepare or replicate into multiple copies. That is cloning. So manipulation of an organism's genetic material to produce a new organism or a new product which will give rise to a new type of metabolite or organism as a whole is called as gene cloning. Now gene cloning is the hub, the center, or you can say the headquarter of various fields of genetics like genetic engineering, cloning, there is cloning as itself, there are different types of cloning, we will see that, biotechnology, and the most modern branch of bioinformatics. All to this, there is a central theme called as cloning, and that is what is maybe the first step of genetic engineering. So we will try to explore cloning from these perspectives: genetic engineering, cloning, biotechnology, bioinformatics. Where does this cloning fit into? So let's see this. As I said, any manipulation of the organism's genetic material, any modification of this organism's genetic material to produce a new organism or a organic product is called as cloning. So we will see one by one where this fits. Genetic engineering. What is genetic engineering? It is one perspective of modifications of genes, DNA, to give rise to newer molecules Now here there are pros and cons. There is an ethical and unethical way of doing these things. But there is a World Council for this to address these issues, and they have added one definition in this all process, that is called as for the beneficial aspects of mankind. So whenever we will be carrying out any such process, it should be taken into consideration that this will be for the benefit of mankind. So in that, genetic engineering, all these are one and the same. Genetic engineering, biotechnology, recombinant DNA technology, gene cloning is a part, is a central process in all this. So we are just trying to see it individually and connect it at one place. Genetic engineering can be defined as a set of techniques which makes one capable to allow the identification, manipulation, multiplication of genes of living organisms. So you have these genes, isolate it, manipulate it, modify it, multiply it, and then if that is industrial level, then you get a product which will be of industrial importance. If it is of plant level, then you will have a new plant growing. If it is human, you can create a new human with your desired traits. It is also defined as changing of the genes by using in vitro process. Means in laboratory, genes are changed, replaced, cut, paste, all these technologies. There are other names also which is called as gene manipulation, gene cloning, that is what we are studying, recombinant DNA technology, genetic modification. So you see here it fits. The gene cloning is nothing but genetic engineering. Gene cloning can be used synonymously for genetic engineering. What are the objectives of gene cloning? What is the purpose of gene cloning? What are the objectives of genetic engineering as such? It is a basic research on gene structure and function. Whenever there is a gene of interest, to study the possibilities whether they can be combined with each other and give rise to a newer organism which will benefit the mankind in either economic way or social way, or make life somewhat easier. Most of the time when it comes to industry, economy is of prime importance. Then one of the purpose is is the production of useful products and services which will benefit the human population as such. It could be a pharmaceutical product, it could be a food product, it could be clothing, it could be anything which will make the life of humans easy. Generation of transgenic plants and animals. This is also one of the objectives of gene cloning or genetic engineering, because as populations they are growing, then plants and animals which are used as livestock and feedstocks for food, the demand for that increases. So if it is possible to create new transgenic plants which will be disease free, which will be more nutritious, so on and so forth, that is one of the purpose of gene cloning. Then investigation of human genome for gene therapy, enhancing the lifespan. If you see, once upon a time, maybe 100 200 years back, man had an average lifespan of 40 years. You will be surprised to know this. Yes, 40 years. Why? Because there were wars. No king would allow his soldiers above 40 to enter into his army. And once he is in an army, he will die in the war. Okay, so average lifespan, and the people who got old, they used to be under constant depression because they surpassed their average lifespan. 50s, 60s, depressed. What should I do? I have no, he doesn't have name, fame, or something to eat and survive. Nobody to take care of. But as we have evolved in time, we have created miracle medicines, we have created cures, vaccines, and human gene therapy for production of pharmaceutically valuable products have resulted into enhancement of the lifespan of humans. Now we are easily, they are surviving 70 80 years long. So that is one of the objectives or purposes of gene cloning. The third area, or third perspective of gene cloning or recombinant DNA technology is biotechnology. What is biotechnology? Biotechnology is the manipulation of living organisms and the organic material to serve human needs, for the fulfillment of human needs and for the beneficial aspects of mankind. Examples: from time immemorial, man has been practicing biotechnology. Ancient biotechnology is what? Bread, curd, etc., making alcohol, wine, all these are examples of ancient biotechnology. Then in the middle we had somewhere using bacteria and fungi to produce antibiotics, penicillin, which kills the disease causing organisms in our body. Then the modern biotechnology is cloning of plants and animals. Artificial insemination is there. And even human genome is being mapped. So you take a blood sample of human and just give some days and you can map his entire genome. You can predict at what age what disease he can conquer. So these are some of the areas which gene cloning not only applies, but that is what the recombinant DNA technology is all about. So development of biotechnology, ancient biotechnology, very ancient, means when man used to roam in the wild and open, he started making shelter, he started cooking food, and he started to domesticate animals, started farming. That is ancient biotechnology, a technology used by humans for the betterment of himself and his society. Then classical biotechnology, in the middle era, we have fermentation of foods, bread, alcohol, medicines were produced. And modern biotechnology, this is what our interest is in this subject. Manipulation of genetics, manipulation of genetic information into creating newer combination of genes in organisms, which is genetic engineering. So modern biotechnology, if you see, that is what we are studying, and that is what is giving benefits to the mankind. So gene cloning, again, as you can see here, gene cloning is aspect where, so gene cloning is an aspect which comes under the biotechnology. Genetic engineering, recombinant DNA technology, human genome project, etc. So these, they have their own varied applications. And one of the aspects which is very essential for the understanding of gene cloning, which interconnects recombinant DNA technology, biotechnology, and all the procedures, and comes to the storage of information, and then studying the permutations and combinations and probabilities on a computer, using computers, is bioinformatics. The application of IT, information technology, computer science, mathematics, statistics, to organizing, processing, storing, analyzing, visualizing, and disseminating the genomic information, genetic information, and breeding the data is called as bioinformatics. Means in the end, when you have everything, you need a computer which should have very highly specifically designed softwares. It should have its own data banks like genomic banks, protein data banks, etc., at some central hub which should be accessible to all the scientists of the world. Means if somewhere there is a new genomic sequence discovered, it should be instantly correlated with a genomic sequence from your place, maybe. Otherwise, two people will say that I have discovered is new, there will be new. So you put it in the central server and just mismatch it. You will understand what is the hit probability. If there is a similarity, then both genes are same. So this is bioinformatics. To investigate genes, their cellular contexts, then functional genomics, pharmacogenomics, proteomics. This example what I have just given you is needed in all fields of sciences where genes are involved or genetic manipulation is involved. So you can see bioinformatics, it is the hub for computer science, chemistry, biochemistry, biology, statistics, mathematics, and engineering, and it takes inputs from all stores and provides the necessary true information whether this path has to be chosen or not, whether the claims are true or not. So that is bioinformatics. So mostly the storage, analysis, visualization, dissemination of genomic and genetic data is the function of bioinformatics. Now what is cloning? Come back to our, having understood all this and starting our discussion of recombinant DNA technology or molecular biology as such. With cloning, what is cloning? Cloning is one organism which is having an exact copy of another organism. There, before going to in vitro cloning or the laboratory level cloning, let us see what are the natural examples of natural cloning. So if you see the type of reproduction which takes place in the animal kingdom: binary fission, budding, fragmentation. This is nothing but they are just producing naturally clones. When a bacteria it divides by binary fission, it is producing a clone of itself. Colonies growing on a plate. Overnight you incubate 37 degrees for 24 hours, you get many colonies on the plate. Each, if it is a pure culture, each and every cell is a clone of the other. Same with budding and fragmentation. This is in the animal world. In the human world, you can see if one egg is fertilized, and in this fertilized egg it divides into two, the two parts are separate and they divide independently, you get twins. You are identical twins, they have identical chromosomes and identical genes. This is a clone. They become a clone of each other. Even in the plant kingdom, if you see certain plants, they can form horizontal stems called runners or stolons. Okay, they form horizontal underground, they connect each other, they interconnect with runners or stolons, which grow roots and develop into clones. Genetically identical plants, they develop from the buds of the clones or the even the pots you can see, they automatically clone them. So this is natural cloning. So what is the principle? The principle is one cell forming an exact replica of itself, that is cloning. Now what is in vitro cloning, or what is the, what you can say, artificial cloning? The production of exact copies of a particular gene or a DNA sequence which is used in molecular biology or genetic technique, it is called as gene cloning. Gene cloning or DNA cloning or molecular cloning, these terms can be used interchangeably. The production of exact copies of a particular DNA sequence using genetic engineering techniques is called as gene cloning. The term gene cloning or DNA cloning, molecular cloning and recombinant DNA technology can all be used interchangingly, means they can be used synonymously. So for this what has to be done? For this, DNA is extracted from organism, all its genes are obtained in the DNA, then a particular gene that is called as the gene of interest is taken, it is copied down into many copies. So when you store that many copies of your gene of interest, it is called as a gene library. Gene library is as simple as that: E. coli containing your gene of interest, and you have multiplied that E. coli into thousands of cells in a slant and kept the slant in a refrigerator. That refrigerated slant is called as a gene library. And what you have done is cloning. Cloning is a method used for isolation and amplification of a gene of interest. Gene of interest. How is it done? You can see this is a whole genome, and you use scissors, certain scissors, cut it into pieces. Now these scissors are nothing but restriction enzymes. Whenever you see tools needed for genetic engineering, there are 2 to 3 categories of these tools. One is the cells, whole cells. Second is the genetic material, which can include DNA, RNA, ribosomes, then tRNA. It can include your proteins, enzymes. These are the second level. And third part needed is instruments: gel electrophoresis, then X-ray crystallographic studies, etc. So you have whole cells, you have the genomic contents, that is the enzymes, proteins, etc. And the third part is instrumentation. That combination of these creates a beautiful science called as genetic engineering. So molecular cloning or gene cloning starts with cutting the DNA. Now you see, restriction enzyme, it can cut DNA into different sizes. Here I have given you a 4 base cutter and a 6 base cutter. These Caesar diagrams, imagine them as enzymes. Those are enzymes. These enzymes cut the DNA into different length of a fragment. Polymorphism is there with respect to restriction enzymes. That is, different length of DNA can be obtained. What to do with in this huge array of fragmented DNA? It is like finding a needle in the haystack. There will be one gene which will be gene of your interest. What is that gene of interest? What is the basis for selection of that gene of interest? Why that has to be selected? That is what all these lectures will follow. That is what makes this genetic engineering most interesting. depending upon the application of your research, you will try to isolate a gene of interest. I will come to that. So gene cloning basically starts with fragmenting a DNA from a host cell, choosing one small DNA, introducing it into a vector. This vector usually is a plasmid, it can be a virus, it can be any artificially synthesized DNA also. So this donor DNA is your gene of interest. I will not go into much detail of this, as we are going to see this in our further lectures. All these steps in detail we will see, but here have a brief idea of, or a bird's eye view idea of what is DNA cloning. So you have this fragmented DNA out of which gene of interest is inserted into vectors. These vectors are cut with the same restriction enzyme which is used to cut the host DNA or the gene of interest. So what happens is that you see the ends become complementary. These are called as cohesive ends. Two types of ends generating restriction enzymes we have in use, that we will see in the next lecture with respect to the tools needed for molecular cloning. One of the tool is restriction enzymes, and this restriction enzyme used to generate the gene of interest is same which is used to cut the vector, so that it gets a perfect fit. As you can see here, as the color coding indicates, AATT perfectly fits with the AATT, and you have, this is called as a recombinant DNA molecule. It is introduced into the host, and as the host multiplies you get clones, and this simple is DNA cloning. So DNA is extracted from the organism, that gene is inserted into a vector, that vector is introduced into a host, and that host, when it multiplies, it makes clones. There are multiple copies of this. So there are some 7 steps involved in this gene cloning. What are these steps? As you can see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. The next figure has 6 and 7. So I will show you. Just listen very carefully. What these 7 steps are forms the fundamental basis of understanding for the rest of the procedures which we will discuss for the curriculum in coming videos. Okay, these basic 7 steps which are involved in gene cloning is what recombinant DNA technology is all about, is biotechnology is all about. When it is applied across various domains of life, means when you dissolve the boundaries of eukaryote, prokaryote, archaea, you try to generate a new molecule which will have a totally different character which never existed before on this earth, and that will be beneficial for mankind. We will see with respect to applications of genetic engineering. So what are these basic 7 steps? The first step is to isolate the gene of interest. Here you can see, isolate the gene of interest, isolate the DNA. Now isolate the DNA gene of interest, isolate the plasmid DNA also, which will act as a vector. There are different types of vectors. We are going to study that. Vectors. So just here for the sake, a plasmid is taken as example for the sake of understanding. So the first step is isolate the DNA gene of interest, isolate a plasmid, then third part is cut this plasmid with the same enzyme which was used to generate this gene of interest, so that both their ends will be complementary. Introduce the gene of interest, that is after cutting the cell's DNA with the same enzyme which are using it to cut the plasmid, this gene of interest ends will be complementary with the vector ends, and you introduce this here, combine the target fragment and the plasmid, and what happens, select the, you ligate it, use ligase, and then combine the targeted fragment, add DNA ligase which closes the circle with the covalent bonds here. So this plasmid with your gene of interest is called as the recombinant genetic material, or still this, you can't call this as a clone. When this will multiply into number of copies, then that will be cloning. So here this is generation of a recombinant DNA molecule. So you have a vector where a gene of interest is introduced, and now this recombined DNA is introduced into a host bacteria. There are variety of methods. Transformation is there, transduction is there, conjugation is there. Artificial as well as natural methods can be employed to reintroduce this plasmid into the host. And now there are certain characteristic features required for the vector to act as a vector. There are certain characteristic feature for the host to act as a host for recombinant DNA technology. And E. coli best suits that. Why? We will see the features of E. coli when we will see it. So this is a perfect host. Introduction of a recombinant DNA, then multiplying the host creates multiple copies of this Escherichia coli, and you have clones. This is genetic cloning. Okay, and as you can see, the foreign DNA, same figure was one more different diagram. Here in the end we have shown colonies. So as you get colonies, this colonies, now there is a probability some while artificially introducing your recombinant DNA into the host. Let's go back to the previous figure. This step, when this engineered DNA is to be introduced inside the host, there definitely is a chance that not all the bacteria will receive that RDT molecule. Okay, recombinant DNA molecule. There will be some cells which will not contain these engineered molecules. So that has to be detected by plating techniques. You can see here there is a dye, specific dye, and blue and white colonies are arising. So that is fused with a LAG-Z gene. All these interesting aspects we will explore in our future lectures. The ultimate result is that you will get two colored colonies, white and blue. White colonies, they have plasmids with the gene of interest, whereas blue colonies, they show that there is no gene of interest. So you can just remove the blue colonies and select the white colonies. This is a technique. This is the technique of gene cloning. More details coming in next lectures. So what is the aim of this cloning? As we already seen, the purpose of this gene cloning is to isolate a gene and its nucleotide sequence, which is called as the gene of interest, and design it in such a fashion that will express into molecules of our desired interest. Second purpose of cloning is to control the sequences of DNA. You need certain DNA sequences which you can control, like for example the LAC-Z or the lactose gene, the LAC gene. If you take a LAC gene and add with your gene of interest, you can control your gene of interest with lactose molecules. So control sequences of the DNA or the gene needs to be identified and analyzed. That is the purpose of gene cloning. Then to investigate novel proteins, novel enzymes, novel transcripts, that is the RNA molecules. Then to identify gene defects and the related mutations. You isolate a gene, you clone a gene, and you study its expression patterns, and you identify the mutations which are responsible for diseases. That is one of the purpose of gene cloning. And the main purpose is to create organisms which can be engineered for specific purposes, which can create molecular level, or which can create molecules which are significant from the industrial point of view. Okay, and that could be pharmaceutical products like insulin. That could be agricultural products like insect resistant chemicals, etc. So these are the purposes and applications of gene cloning. There are different types of gene clonings, out of which for the rest of the syllabus and from the microbial genetics point of view, I will be discussing only one cloning, and that will be molecular cloning. But there are different types of cloning. That is, the first is plant cloning. Plant cloning consists of cells taken from the plants and converting that into cultured cells. Then from a culture you can amplify it in vitro, and callus is formed. From the callus, then actually in the ground it is grown, and you have a plant of your design. It could be insect resistance, it could be a highly yield variety plant, it could be a drought resistant plant. Different ones which resist the natural calamities and give you a good growth, good fruits, good yields. That is the aim of plant cloning. Animal cloning, body cell is taken from one animal, DNA is extracted, DNA from that is fused in the egg. While that DNA is introduced, you engineer that gene, you create that gene of your interest, and then you introduce it into a egg of a surrogate mother, that is another ship B, and then this surrogate mother it develops. That is what Dolly was created, the first cloned sheep to be produced. So this lamb which is produced, it is a clone of the sheep A. So you have animal cloning here. The next is therapeutic cloning. It aims at producing cells for medical purposes, means cells are created, generated, engineered from a deceased person. A cell is taken, as you can see this is a patient, the like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, or many age old diseases which are caused in the old age. Okay, old age diseases caused in the old age, these diseases which are very troublesome in the human population, those patients with diseases, the recovered cells are recovered, and from here a direct dedifferentiation can also be made. Studies are going on that, but here these cells are transferred into egg, and then the egg and the cell are fused by electric currents, and an embryo is cultured for 7 days. The embryo stem is then recovered and stem cells are grown in a culture. Stem cell cultured is done, and this specific type of cells which are now disease free or disease free cells are recovered. They are cultivated, cultured, and continuously in chronic cancer, even in chronic cancer a patient is continuously losing the cells from the body, so his healthy cells are cultured, and constantly the specifically cells which are required for the therapy cells, he is having a blood cancer, then blood cells are continuously supplied in the form of pure blood, that we know. But if it is a specific organ like pancreas or kidney, and there the cells which is under constant degeneration, directly the cells are supplied through stem cells, that is the therapeutic cloning. Then there is reproductive cloning, the somatic cells which is there, the reproductive cloning, the Dolly animal cloning. Such type of reproductive cloning can be done in any animal, okay, not only sheep or lambs or human. That is reproductive cloning. Wherever there is reproduction, the cells which are there, the nucleus can be merged with a into a egg, where your that nucleus contains the DNA of your design. You design that DNA, and then that is introduced into the egg, and then that egg cells are grown into a surrogate mother, or if it is a plant, wherever where there is reproduction, then these clones are used to generate a whole organism. Then there is molecular cloning, which is the point of interest for us. Molecular cloning is just what I showed you in the last lecture, that is a vector and a DNA fragment. It is introduced into a host cell, and then multiple copies of cloned cells are generated. Lastly, human cloning. It is unethical right now in the world to clone a human. There are problems with ethics and religion. You can just use a cell, you can create a complete clone, but remember, it is not that if somebody wants to clone me today, he starts cloning, and tomorrow you will have a man like me behind. No, it is going to take that 8-9 months in a surrogate mother. That mother will have to deliver the baby outside. That baby, when will grow after 30-40 years, he will look like me. So that human cloning, it is right now unethical. Mostly our focus will be on molecular cloning and the molecular cloning techniques, which is nothing but genetic engineering, which is nothing but recombinant DNA technology and biotechnology. So if you see the history of cloning over the period of time, you can see in 1952 the first cloning experiment with frog was attempted and it failed. 1952. In 1970s, a cloned frog embryo was developed into a tadpole, but again it died. In 1984, a lamb was born and cloned from immature sheep embryo cells, but that was not much successful. In 1994, cows were cloned from embryos that has grown to at least 120 days. Means for 120 days it survived, then again it failed. It was for the first time in 1997 the Dolly was born, birth of Dolly the sheep was announced, and it was the first cloned animal using adult cells. Okay, then another cloned sheep called as Polly was also created, containing a altered human gene. They survived for their significant duration of time, and they also died. Then in 1998, 50 mice were cloned in 3 generations from a single mice. Means one single mice was used to clone 50 different cloned mices. As the generation time is less, this becomes very easy for, and even ethics are not there, so mice can be used as experimental animals. So in 1998, one mice was cloned into 50 mice. In 1998, 3 goats were cloned genetically. They were altered with respect to high concentration in their milk protein, and this protein was designed in such a fashion that it reduces the heart attacks in humans. So if you consume the milk of this goat, genetically cloned goat, in 1999 which was created, then that contained milk protein which reduces the heart attack. So that is the beneficial aspect of mankind. In 2000, pigs were cloned. Pigs, they are considered to be the closest relatives of humans in the line of evolution. You see their eyes, you see their ears, they resemble the human morphology very much. So these pigs are best suited for organ development. The recombinant DNA technologists, they believe. In 2000, pigs were cloned for potential use in human organ transplantation. In 2001, human embryos were cloned. They never grew bigger than 6 cells. In 2001, the growth of human embryos was attempted, which failed. 2002, Clonide, scientist says that it has a Clonide, a scientific organization says that it cloned the first human, and later on it came to be known that it is a hoax, means it is false. But you see why I have to give this false information which was false. But I want to emphasize here the attempt, the urge, the human nature to do what is prohibited. Then in 2004, Korean team, they cloned the first human embryo and extract from stem cells. They did not develop, it is unethical to develop it into a human being. But now the technology is almost ready to execute. You never know which country will take an initiative and start cloning superhumans, which may or may not benefit the mankind. So having said that, we come to the end of this lecture. The next lecture will be what are the tools, what are the chemicals, what are the instruments needed for molecular cloning. Molecular cloning, as we have seen, is a very interesting technology which has developed very fast in the recent times, and we have the biotechnology and the genetic engineering manipulations and modifications quite possible in today's times. So we will see the tools used in molecular cloning in our next lecture. So I hope you are understanding this very interesting aspect of genetics, and this is the main purpose why we studied all the basic processes of genes and genetics and DNA in our previous discussions. So those who have not got their concepts clear should go back to earlier lectures, spend some time there, try to understand, and then you will enjoy these molecular biology methods much more. So till the time we go into the next level of molecular cloning, I wish you good studies, I wish you better understanding, I wish you to understand what era in the future we will be entering into. So till that time, thank you, goodbye.